Hey everybody, welcome to Diamonds and Dugouts. I'm broadcasting from my home dugout here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I'm your host, Corey Sharpless. Why is this podcast here? Well, I love minor league baseball. I love everything about it. I love getting to know the people, talking to the fans, experiencing the teams, the quirky promotions, everything about it. So I get to travel for work, which is a curse and a blessing at the same time. But luckily, it affords me the right to collect ballparks, to get to visit a lot of different locations. After my day is done working, I refuse to sit in a hotel room and continue to work. So I started out looking for a sporting event. When I found a sporting event, I went to it. Didn't matter what it was. I got into hockey over the past year, just experiencing sporting events. But my true love for traveling comes down to minor league baseball. I travel to Major League Baseball parks and have accomplished a great deal of visits this year alone, and we will talk about them going forward. But my main love is the people, from the general managers to the groundkeepers. If you ever have an opportunity to talk to some people and talk to people involved with these clubs, you will get so many wonderful stories that just enlighten you and tell you how much they desire and love their jobs. So today's first podcast is going to center around a conversation I was lucky to have with Tim Vangel. He is the general manager of the Greensboro Grasshoppers. And it was the first time I tried this. It was just a conversation. You're going to understand when you hear it. I am a novice at this, but I promise to work and continue to get better. If you have any questions or comments, you're not going to hurt my feeling. I love constructive criticism. Even if you want to be mean, hey, that's fine too. I can handle it. So without further ado, we're going to start our first conversation for the Diamonds and Dugouts podcast with Tim Vangel. Hope you enjoy it. Today we're talking to Tim Vangel, who is the general manager of the Greensboro Grasshoppers, a proud High A affiliate of the Pittsburgh Pirates. That's all correct?
Correct.
Okay. So can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Yeah, mine was a little bit different. I went to North Carolina A&T State University, and I played baseball there. But while I was there, I got a degree in chemical engineering. I had no thoughts about working in baseball, but I needed a summer job, and so I started working with the Greensboro Bats at the time. And we actually A&T played all of our games at War Memorial Stadium, which prior to the construction of First National Bank Field, we played all of our college games there. So I got to know the general manager, the groundskeeper, and I started mowing the grass and just helping out with odds and ends. And then in 2004, when I graduated, had a meeting with our president at the time, and he offered me a job to come in and work as director of stadium operations. And we had just at that time, we broke ground on the new stadium. And with my background in engineering, it ought to be a good idea for me to be involved in the construction of the ballpark. So I took the job. My mother was not crazy about it, but I took the job, and it's been one of the best things that's ever happened to me. So I was able to be on every meeting of construction, from groundbreaking all the way through opening up the stadium. And 2005, we opened the ballpark, and we had an exhibition game with the Miami Marlins. We were at the Marlins at the time. And from there, I did 1 year of stadium operations at the new ballpark, and I was promoted to assistant general manager that fall, and came inside the office and started selling and overseeing our game day staff. And I did that up until the fall of 2023, where I was then promoted to general manager. Our president and general manager at the time, he retired, and I took over for him, and been 2 years now doing this as general manager.
That's awesome. I love the fact that you said your mom was not too proud of it. How did she feel as she saw that it became your career?
Oh, I mean, now is it, things have kind of come full circle, and she sees it as something that I love to do, and it's a fun job, and painstakingly, I come to make a couple of bucks out of it, and I can pay my rent, so that's wonderful working in minor league baseball.
That's it. Well, you're truly blessed to do that. I wish I could make my full career in minor league baseball one day. Hopefully, maybe we'll see what happens. So I know you're the GM, and at the minor league level, that's a little bit different than the major league level. Can you kind of dive into what that involves for the minor league level?
Yeah, and I think the easiest way to describe it at the minor league level is um, on the on the minor league team side is we handle the business of baseball. Obviously, us being affiliates of the Pittsburgh Pirates, they handle the baseball of baseball. Our focus is what kind of promotions that we're going to do, setting our schedule and game times, selling tickets and sponsorships, the overall operation of the facility, between food and beverage, security, ushers, ticket takers, everything that goes on with that, along with game entertainment with the video board, music, all of our social media, website. We handle the team travel, visiting team hotel. But when it comes to the baseball side, the Pirates employ individuals in their minor league baseball operations, and they hire the manager, the hitting coach, the pitching coach, the trainer, the strength and conditioning, the nutritionist, along with, obviously all of our players having a contract with the Pittsburgh Pirates. So we don't get into any kind of player moves, anything that deals with roster, any of that nature. But we focus on making sure the guys are comfortable while they're here, making sure they have ease of travel through, lining up all their buses, again, visiting hotels, handling, snacks and things like that. But everything else on the baseball side falls on the Pirates and their minor league baseball operations. And we focus on family fun, making sure everybody's having a good time and they are entertained while they come out. Baseball's obviously going on, but it's always a show every single game on the theme nights and what kind of promotions that we're doing, whether it be food and beverage or on-field activation stuff or fireworks or giveaways. And that's really what we do.
That's awesome, and again, I can tell you from my travels. To me, I love the baseball. That's fine, but I just love the atmosphere. Where else can you go for a reasonable price, get food, entertainment, and just enjoy a nice quiet night? If you can stand the heat, sometimes during summer, that is. Uh,
Yeah,
we,
that's always a challenge in the summer, but luckily there's a lot of shaded area here, especially underneath our large concourse. But that's it. Just getting fans in here. And, our biggest thing is to try to keep prices as low as we possibly can, because at the end of the day, that's what minor league baseball is about. And we're going to provide a lot of fan entertainment, great customer service, a clean ballpark, and reasonably priced food options that still taste good.
very much. And First National Bank Field is a beautiful place. I've visited once just for the store, and then, like I told you before we started, that May 29th, I got to take my daughter to a game there, and it was right after. Is it Willie May passed away? Was it? Is that the one that recently passed away? Your bat dog?
No, actually, no. Willie Mae is still with us. She was our president's dog
Okay.
at the time. So he retired. So the dog, Willie has made some appearances this year. Yeah, she'll make about 8 to 10 a year, usually on Fridays and Saturdays. But she has not passed away. She's still with us. We
Okay.
unfortunately have had. She's our fifth iteration of a bat dog. So we've had a few over the years, and we've had Babe Ruth, Miss Babe Ruth, who unfortunately passed. We had Master Yogi Berra. We had Miss Lulu Gehrig, and now we're on to Willie May. I think that might have been Durham. Durham had one of their bat dog pass away, and they just introduced one. But she's still here. Occasionally she'll make an appearance, and she loves being out here. We just don't have a full-time bat dog anymore.
No, okay. I walked away, or she walked away with the plush for Willie May, and I believe it was Miss Babe Ruth that I was thinking of in the past.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
unfortunately, we've
apologize
had
for
some
that.
great bat dogs. Oh no, not at all. We've had some great bat dogs, and Willie's right up there with them, and hopefully we can have her out here more often than not.
Yeah, it's my daughter's 14-year-old. It's hard to get her involved into a baseball game. She just travels with dad sometimes, but stuff like that's really awesome. So she fell in love with that aspect of it. So I'm gonna have to get her back out there. So let's switch over to the club for a little bit. How long have the Grasshoppers been around as an organization?
Well, let's see. So, I mean, there's been minor league baseball in Greensboro for over 100 now, coming up on 110, 20 years. Um, our owners, let's see, our previous ownership group to our current, they purchased the team in 1999, really for just the sole purpose of making sure that minor league baseball stayed in Greensboro. So, that's kind of really when I started to get involved with that ownership group. Um, we've been a number of teams. Prior to the Grasshoppers, we were the Bats. Prior to the Bats, we were the Hornets. Prior to the Hornets, we were the Generals. Prior to the Generals, we were the what was the other one? There's been baseball here forever with a number of different major league clubs. My experience, a lot of it has been with the Marlins. We were with the Marlins for 16 years, and now we've been with the Pirates since 2019. And currently we have a wonderful ownership group at Temerity Baseball, Temerity Capital, and Andy Sandler. And he's a wonderful owner. And we also, our sister clubs are Kannapolis Cannonballers, and then the Lexington Legends in Lexington, Kentucky. Cannonballers are affiliated. They're low A in the Carolina League with the White Sox.
Right.
And the Lexington Legends are unaffiliated. They're independent ball in the Atlantic League.
Okay, and that takes me into the next section I want to talk about is the South Atlantic League. Y'all have been there since 1979, that's correct?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit how that league is structured, or how the leagues are structured within minor league? Is there like the presidents? Is there league offices? How does that work?
Well, prior to the fall of 2019, you had the minor league baseball offices and you had the major league baseball offices. Most leagues all had a league president, and that's kind of how it worked. All the minor leagues kind of reported to league presidents reported to the minor league baseball offices, and all the major leagues were somewhat separate. They still worked hand in hand, but to an extent separate. 2019, that fall was the consolidation. Things kind of changed. We went from 160 to 120, and they did a lot of it. One was tied to making sure the players were compensated accordingly, but the big one was also to try to minimize travel for the guys on buses, and and then knowing that there was going to be facility standards coming down the road. And a lot of it was, the leagues were kind of readjusted to make more sense geographically. The South Atlantic League's interesting because we go all the way up to New York, all the way down to Georgia, Rome, Georgia, and then all the way over to Bowling Green, Kentucky. So we have a pretty wide spread. But between splitting it north and south in the divisions, it helps with travel. And the really interesting ones going to the sixth game or from Tuesdays to Sundays, with Monday being a universal travel day or off day, which does help a lot with travel. Instead of playing one team in for 3 days, then you got another team coming in for 4 days, or you might have a short stint, long stint. It gives a lot more structure to it.
Yeah. And I would like to tell you, I call Mondays during minor league baseball the saddest day of the week because I can't watch anything. I have the MILB subscription, so I'll always have some kind of minor league game going on in the background. So, it's a very sad day. Something amazing that I found out recently reading a book was that it's not just the players looking for a call up. I mean, it could be the GMs, it could be the field announcers, the radio announcers, even the groundskeepers are looking for potential call ups. Is that something you found?
Well, it's potential. I think it really depends on the ownership group. It depends on the organization you're with. It depends on, there's a lot of factors. It's just like, any other time you're looking for a job, right? Pay is obviously top priority, but location is another, cost of living. Are you happy with the organization that you're working with? And it is interesting. It's not, people want to advance. But it's a little bit different when you're working on the minor league side and the business side of it, because you could work for in our case, we have a very successful minor league, high A franchise. And most of our staff has been here, half our staff has been here for over 10 years. Now, that's somewhat unheard of in minor league baseball. A lot of times it's, kids out of college, they start and they keep working, working up. And a lot of people think that you want to work in, in the big leagues, right? And it just depends on what you're really looking for. But I tell a lot of college students when I go and speak with them, it's, you have to understand that there's the business of baseball and then there's the baseball of baseball. And really, it's kind of in any sport, whether you get into sales, video production, event, logistics, food and beverage, or you're going to get on the baseball side and it's, into analytics, video, getting into the scouting, getting into strength and conditioning, nutritionists. Those are all things like if a kinesiology student reaches out to me, he's like, hey, I'm interested in, shadowing, volunteering, interning with your trainer. Well, that has nothing to do with us. I'll guide them to reach out to the Pirates.
Right.
So it really depends on the situation. Here we have a great staff. We're very lucky. People are happy here. They enjoy working here, and so we have a lot of longevity. So I think it's very case by case. But there is also a lot of moving around because it's always, want to get to the better paying job or maybe the more prestigious job.
Right.
So it does occur, but I'd say not quite to the frequency as, a player.
Okay. So on the restructure, and that's kind of the basis for what I'm working on, is when you were the assistant GM during the restructure, correct?
That's correct.
What hurdles did Greensboro, was there ever a threat for affiliated baseball leaving Greensboro, or were there hurdles that y'all had to meet? Or
Well, I mean, there's always the unknown, but we felt pretty good. One, Greensboro's a wonderful market. When you start to talk about geography, we're centrally located on the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of highway infrastructure that makes it easy to get in and out of Greensboro. The airport's one of the easiest in America. So there were a lot of pluses there. Plus our facility. Well, we were built in 2005. I think the timing of when we built it, we might not have some of the amenities that newer stadiums have, like big, huge club meetings, open spaces on the suite level. But it's a wonderful ballpark with enough seating. And, the big one is, I think, and this is just my opinion, that, when Major League Baseball looked at it, geography, I think, was the really big one. But then it's also known as you're going to get to these facility standards. Where's the feasibility for some of these older ballparks? What's it going to take to, get to that, kind of place that you're going to need to be and how quickly? So we have a nice stadium. It's, well done. When we built this stadium, we constructed it to AA standards at the time. Thank goodness that we did. The things you don't really think about, height of lights. Well,
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, when we built it 20 years ago, we built it AA standard. So whenever all the new facility standards came into place, we were already there. And so my opinion is that was, a lot of the kind of factors into it. So we felt good. But at the same time, you never know. And luckily, we were one of the 120 to survive.
Did you have any communications with those of the South Atlanta League, like the Power, the Legends, or the Suns that didn't make it?
A little. It kind of just, it was what it was. That was just part of it. And a lot of those organizations, Lexington went to independent. I want to say what Delmarva did as well. But not particularly.
Okay. Well, and the second to last question, in your opinion, was it a good move? If you're willing to answer that.
I think ultimately in the long run, yes. Because if you're going to get to facility standards, you have to have, it has to be reasonable for, teams to get there. And we've had a lot of improvements that we've had to do. We spent a couple $1 million in more lockers, female locker rooms, bigger weight rooms, bigger batting cages. We're still working on it, but we feel that we're in a pretty good position. But I think it was, I think it's kind of common sense that when you got guys traveling all over the place, so at least you know that all the facilities are going to be somewhat similar, especially like field. And, you're always going to have some weird dimensions, but general things like, hey, your lighting has to be this requirement, mound heights have to be, whatever. Not that they really didn't exist before. There's just a lot more making sure that everybody's doing what they're supposed to do. So I think it gives consistency to the players. And again, it reduces their travel, which is just better for them, as a whole. And, a lot of the other requirements that we've gotten with, how much, number of buses that we need, it's better for them. Obviously, it's more cost for us, but, at the end of the day, they're professional athletes, and they need to make sure they're taken care of.
I could not agree more. My last question, Tim, and again, thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate your time. I know you're busy wrapping up the season. I'm glad y'all are having a great season that we spoke of before, and I hope to get over there again before the end. But my last question is, what is the best part of your job?
Yeah, this is one that I feel very strongly about. It's kind of a tough one to answer, but I always go with the best part of my job is we have the ability every day, the ability to make a memory for life. And when you think about the power of that, You have the power to influence someone, someone's life, and you can put a mark on their memory that they'll never forget. And that's why I know I work in this business, and I think that's why a lot of our staff does. It's very unique. There's not a lot of other jobs in America that I can think of that you can do that. And it's America's pastime, and it's just I think minor league baseball is just one of the best sporting events out there.
Again, I couldn't agree more, and you give me goosebumps just the way you presented that. My earliest memory goes back to the Macon Braves in 1991, where I met Chipper Jones as a kid. So I completely understand. Well, again, Tim, thank you so much for your time. This has been Tim Vangel of the Greensboro Grasshoppers. Thank you, and keep playing good ball.
Absolutely. Thanks for talking with me. I love talking baseball.
Thanks, Tim. Welcome back. Hope you really enjoyed that interview as much as I did. I got so many great conversation points out of Tim. I can't wait to get over there and meet him in person. I've been to a game, but that was before I decided to do all this. So I'm going to get to revisit a lot of parks I've been to just to meet the people that I hope to interview. This podcast will continue on a semi-weekly based on my work travel, and we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. We're going to talk about mostly minor league baseball, but come wintertime, we're probably going to branch into hockey a little bit too, because when baseball's not around, I still have to find my sporting events. So thank you for listening today. Subscribe and keep listening. I hope to continue to amuse you. If it's nothing but my southern twang, I hope you get something out of this podcast. Thank you. Have a good day.